friends! Today I join you to talk about one of my favorite places in Vietnam, Cat Ba Island. First things first, why Cat Ba Island? Halong Bay is one of the most popular tourist destinations in Asia because it is a UNESCO World Heritage Site, protected for its natural beauty. You can see a little bit of the bay behind me, and you can see a little bit of what the bay is famous for, these limestone karsts. These limestone mountains contain millions of years of geological history. They are absolutely beautiful, and there are hundreds of them in Halong Bay and the smaller bays off of Halong Bay. This is officially one of the most beautiful places in the world, and therefore, if you are traveling to Vietnam, it is certainly worth seeing. Now, the most common way to see Halong Bay is on a luxury cruise, which start at $150 and up per person per night. And that's for the bad ones. That's for the ones with bad reviews, where people complain on TripAdvisor about nasty old food and being packed on the boat with too many other tourists. If you want something actually nice, actually really nice, you're going to be paying $300 a night. Obviously, that's out of many people's budgets, including mine, but even if it is within your budget, things priced in that range are more popular among families and couples celebrating special occasions. So even if you are able to afford it, it might not be the best thing for you. The budget traveler, adventurer, backpacker type alternative is where I am now and what this video is about, Cat Ba Island, which is directly off of Lan Ha Bay, which is connected to Halong Bay and equally as stunningly beautiful. So what to do on Cat Ba Island? The number one thing to do on Cat Ba Island, the classic activity here, is the one-day boat cruise. If you're looking to experience Lan Ha and Halong Bay and do a little bit of everything, there are many companies that offer them online. So if you are on TripAdvisor, any day cruise that's priced at less than 30 bucks per person is going to be the exact same thing, literally the exact same itinerary, because this is a national park and there are rules for when you get into the park, when you leave the park, when you can visit certain islands, etc. It's very important that you decide to do this on a beautiful day. Good weather makes all the difference in the world. So the ubiquitous itinerary of these one-day cruises is at 8 a.m. you either get picked up from your hotel or you go to your tour company's office on the main strip in Cat Ba town. From there, you will go to Ban Bao Harbor via a van or bus shuttle. At the harbor, you'll get on the boat. The trip begins by cruising for 45 minutes to an hour, so you sail past the most beautiful areas with stunning limestone mountains rising out of the various lagoons. The karsts have an ethereal uniformity to their height, and as you sail farther and farther, they reveal themselves through the lifting fog. In the morning, your big activity will be kayaking through these lagoons. Kayaking is wonderful because it's so easy. Even if you've never done it or you haven't done it for years, it's pretty impossible to get wrong. You don't even need somebody to explain to you how to kayak. You just need to look at somebody who seems to know what they're doing for 2 minutes and you'll get it. The kayaking part of the tour usually lasts an hour and a half or so, and this is the only part of these tours where I have seen something very special and quite rare. The incredibly endangered species of langur monkey specific to Cat Ba Island, called the Cat Ba langur. It's a white-headed monkey. There are fewer than 70 left in the world because in past they've been hunted for traditional Chinese medicine. They live on the karsts, and I have only seen them when kayaking. Even if you don't see them, kayaking these stunning, peaceful, quiet, relatively clean lagoons is an incredible experience, but if you paddle away from the crowd and sort of hug the borders of the karsts and stay quiet, you have a great chance of seeing these rare monkeys. Another wonderful thing about this kayaking experience are the caves. You can kayak straight through some of the karsts via caves where the ceilings are dripping with amorphous, elegant stalactites. And along the waterline, there are various mollusks. some of which are beautiful purplish, pinkish colors. Another fun thing about kayaking, depending on the area you're in, is that especially during low tide, the water is often so shallow you can easily stand and walk in it. And for that reason, the nets and baskets that the fishermen in the bay have put out are plainly visible. And that's just interesting from a cultural standpoint. It's quite different from how it is done in the West. After kayaking, you head back to the boat and it is lunchtime. I've had varying experiences with different companies in different weather on different boats, but I have never had a bad lunch on one of these trips. It's consistently fresh and tasty with vegetarian options and classic simple Vietnamese fare. Always spring rolls, white rice, scrambled eggs, fried tofu sauteed with tomato, and sometimes also a little bit of cinnamon flavored pork sausage or fish cakes. It's truly consistently delicious. After lunch is over, all of the companies will sail you to the same little private island where the waters are clean, clear, calm, and relatively warm. And you can jump off the boat, swim to the beach, relax in the water, swim back, just enjoy yourself. Different tour companies have different vibes. So there are some party boat companies where they play pumping pop dance music and people jump off the roof of the boat and they throw cans of beer in the water for people to swim over and snatch and drink while they're still swimming. And there are other companies that are more quiet. It's actually kind of fun because you're not only with the people on your tour, you can also talk to people on boats that are just, 10 or 20 feet away. You meet other people in the water swimming to the island. So depending on what you're looking for, you should just ask at the tour company's office before you leave. After even more sailing, it is time to go to Monkey Island. As per its name, it is full of monkeys. Not the endangered monkeys, other monkeys, a tribe of monkeys that survives, I think, solely on the Oreos and Pringles that tourists feed them in order to take pictures. They're smart, they're experienced, they're social, and they know that if they approach every small group of people and kind of look cute, they're likely to get a treat. So I can't say that I'm on board with it ethically, but you will definitely see monkeys when you go to Monkey Island. The other thing to do on Monkey Island is check out the view from the top. It's actually a quite tough scramble to the top of Monkey Island. If, like me, you don't know what a scramble is, it's halfway between a hike and a rock climb. So it's not completely vertical, but it is craggy, it is physically risky. There are handholds, and on most sections you will have to use your entire body to climb. It's not a walk. However, when you get to the top, the 360 panoramic view really is beautiful, and that feeling of accomplishment when you've done that tough scramble is fantastic. After Monkey Island, it is a slow sail back through the floating fishing villages, where you can see how local people live on the water and farm the fish that us tourists eat in Cat Ba town. After that, it's back to the bay, back to the bus. When you get off the bus, the local restaurant owners are handing out coupons for half-off cocktails or free beer. And it's pretty standard practice to just go to a bar and hang with the people on your tour and have a drink. The whole day starts at 8 a.m. and it's completely wrapped up by 6. For less than $20, you can have this incredible experience with really any of the companies here, and I just can't recommend it highly enough. The other thing you just absolutely must do while you are here is visit the national park. If you're physically fit and willing to get up very, very early in the morning, you can walk to the national park. It'll take you 3 hours. If you are, again, very physically fit, there are bike tours where you can bike to the national park. But beware, because Cat Ba Island, as you can tell, is very mountainous. So it is a lot of hard, uphill biking. Even if you enjoy biking, it's not an easy thing to do, and that will take you an hour and a half. Alternatively, you can take a cab, or you can do what most people do, and that is rent a motorbike. You can easily get a scooter on the island for between $3 and $5 a day and take that up to the national park entrance. Once you get inside the park, about, 200 feet in, there is an actually really lovely hostel with a coffee shop. So if you need a refreshment, you can get it there, hang out for a little while before you start moving. Once you do start moving, there are, I believe, 3 trails. The one that most people do is quite easy. It goes to the peak of Cat Ba Island. It's almost all steps. It's only the very, very end that's a scramble, and it's not a difficult scramble. It's not half as difficult as the Monkey Island scramble. And it is so, so worth it to get that beautiful 360 view of Cat Ba Island. It's a wonderful feeling. The other trail that a lot of people do is much, much longer. Instead of taking a couple hours from start to finish, it actually goes clear across the park and therefore clear across the island. You're into more challenging hikes or just longer hikes that may be more gratifying for you. Also, it is entirely possible to do both within one day as long as you start very early. As in, you are already at the park, at the door, the minute they start selling tickets at, I think, 7:30 or 8 in the morning. While you're at the park, your ticket will also gain you free admission to a very famous giant cave that is only a 5-minute walk down the road from the entrance. Inside the cave is very cool. Again, it is not physically challenging at all. It's just an interesting environmental nature experience where you can see the stalagmites dripping and the crystals slowly forming over millennia. The last thing that's up there, and you do have to buy a separate ticket for it, but it's cheap and it's right on the same road and very easily accessible, is the hospital cave. The hospital cave was a hospital, if you will, during the Vietnam War. Basically, it was fitted out as a barracks, command station, nursing station for soldiers who used Cat Ba Island as more or less a lookout point. In Hospital Cave, they have sort of mannequins wearing wartime uniforms, and it's very straightforward. There's not a lot of material there. However, if you are making a day of it, you might as well throw it in on your way back from the park. The third thing that I think is an absolute must-do on Cat Ba, if you have any interest in it whatsoever, is rock climbing. There are a couple companies on the island that specialize in rock climbing. There's Langur's Adventures and there's also Cat Ba Climbing. They both have their own turf. So I went with Langur's Adventures. They have exclusive access to Moody Beach and Butterfly Valley. And the reason I chose them is because they have options for every experience level, from never climbed with ropes before, me, to deep water solo climbing, which is solo rock climbing on exposed karsts and just falling back into the water. If you fall, no ropes involved. There were a small number of people in my group. The boat ride and food was excellent, but more important than all of that, their attitudes were so kind and their care was so genuine. Climbing with them was possibly my best day on the island. I can't recommend it highly enough. If you're more into kind of nature walks than actual real rock climbing, another place that you can go, although it's not as cool as the national park, is the Cannon Fort. Unlike the national park, this is a quick walk from Cat Ba town proper. You can easily get there in 20 or 30 minutes. That said, it is a steep uphill walk, but it is not technically difficult or physically scary at all. It's almost completely paved. Cannon Fort was actually built before the Vietnam War. It was built by the French, and the cannons that remain in place are French cannons. And again, they're displayed in situ with sort of dressed up or painted mannequins. There are a couple of little rooms in original buildings that you can wander around to, where you can see some artifacts from the Vietnam War, just basic stuff like telephones and shell cases. In one of the rooms, one thing I found really interesting is there's a bunch of vintage art by Cat Ba Islanders displayed on the wall, and everything is priced at 90,000 dong, which is super cheap. That's like less than $4. But there's nobody to take your money and there's no place to pay, and so so all looks like it's been hanging there absolutely forever. And a lot of it is dated to the 60s or 70s. I think if you have a particular interest in the Vietnam War or a special nostalgia for Cat Ba Island, it's something worth looking into. I just have no idea how to go about it because all of Cannon Fort when I was there was completely unstaffed. Not a single person walking around. There was a cafe that was completely empty and abandoned. I don't know, maybe it's only a weekend thing, maybe it's only a high season thing. I don't know. But the hike was fun and the views were incredible. I have never been there at sunset. I have been told that it is one of the best sunsets on Cat Ba, and I could definitely see a lot of abandoned beer bottles at the lookout point. Now, as I'm sure you can tell from the way I've described my must-dos on Cat Ba Island, I am much more into experiences and outdoorsy stuff than I am into laying out, cocktail in hand, beach-style vacations. However, if you want that type of vacation or you just want a beach day, you can still get that here. There are 3 main beaches conveniently called Cat Co 1, 2, and 3. There are more, but these are the ones that people really go to with good swimming. You can easily walk beach to beach easily within the same afternoon. You cannot bicycle to them. I learned that the hard way. The best beach is Cat Co 3. It is part of a huge resort, but I was there a couple times and they let me in no problem. I wasn't asked to buy a drink. No one bothered me at all, actually. So if you need a chill beach day, it's a great choice.
If you want another activity that only takes an hour or two, but you're not a layout on the beach kind of person, another great place to visit is the Cat Ba market. If you really want to get a slice of the native islander life, you have to go to the market they go to. Like a lot of Asian markets, this place has everything. And it's such a short walk. It's just on the edge of the Cat Ba Town touristy area. It's sort of small, but completely representative of what they are throughout Vietnam. And there are 2 more things that I highly recommend you do that are really not day trips. I think they're best done as overnight trips. The first is a visit to where I am now, Viet Hai village, which for some reason in a lot of tour books is called a fishing village. It is not. It is agricultural. It's a tiny village. It will take you an hour and a half max to walk from one end of the village to the next, check out their cave, and walk all the way back. It's smaller than a village. What would I even call this? A hamlet? It's really small. So picturesque. A lot of the houses have been here for 1,000,000 years. Where I am right now. This family has been here for 105 years now. A great way to explore the village is by biking. All the homestays have free, albeit a little shitty bikes, but they're perfectly sufficient to get around. It's pretty flat around here. If you're into serenity, calm, natural beauty, meditation, this is the place to be, not Cat Ba Town. People who decide to do the 10-hour hike through the national park up to the Navy Peak and down end up here in Viet Hai village. I've never heard of anybody doing it the reverse way from Viet Hai village to Cat Ba Town, but if you're willing to carry a backpack and pack light, you can do that. The reason why Viet Hai village is so small and secluded is because although it's part of Cat Ba Island, you actually can't get here by land without climbing over the mountains. So to get here, you need to take a cab from Cat Ba Town to Bem Bao Harbor. From Bem Bao Harbor, you need to hire a boat or get on the ferry, which only runs once a day, and take an hour-long boat ride to the pier. And once you're at the pier here, you need to either get on the back of somebody's motorbike or hike a solid hour and a half, 2 hours to get to the village. So it's not a fishing village, it's just inaccessible by land. And for that reason, it just makes a lot more sense to spend a night or 2 here. 1 night if you just want to explore the village, 2 nights if you want to use it as a jumping off or endpoint for that long hike. The other super authentic local experience that you can have in Cat Ba, but does require an overnight stay, you can stay with the fishermen who live in those tiny floating houses with their families on Lan Ha Bay. Again, it takes 40 minutes to an hour to get there, depending on where in the bay they live. You have to hire a boat to get you there. And it's It was eye-opening for me, honestly. They get all of their electricity from a single solar panel
hooked up into this rechargeable industrial type battery. And from that battery, they have to run everything. So it ends up not being much. You can charge your phone, but there aren't enough plugs to charge a computer. They have one fan going some of the time. They have lights on when they eat in the evening. That's it. There's no AC, no heated water. Water pressure is another issue. I think they put in the showers solely for Western visitors. Out on the deck, they have these huge vats of rainwater. And when the kids are playing in the water and get out of it, they come up and they wash themselves in a little bucket in rainwater. None of these families speak English. So if you don't speak Vietnamese, it's sign language and smiles. That's it. The food is inevitably really good because they'll serve you fresh clams, a big white fish, whatever they're farming. And despite its kind of miserable conditions, a real highlight is that they have kayaks sitting around. So instead of only being able to kayak for half an hour or an hour and paying dearly to do so, like you do with the day trips from Cat Ba town, you can go out as often as you like, at whatever time you want, or however long you want, and really explore the karsts and lagoons, which is really fun and kind of romantic, you know, if you find a secluded place to swim or whatever. So that's about it. I think that's all of the fun stuff that I really, really love about Cat Ba, and I hope you come here and experience it all. So far, it's been my favorite place in Vietnam, and I've been living here for almost a year now. Before we move on to the practicalities, I just want to give you a couple little disclaimers, things that maybe you shouldn't do when you're on Cat Ba that a lot of people end up doing. First things first, the floating seafood restaurants right off of Cat Ba town in the harbor. No, they're very touristy, very expensive. The quality of the seafood and the level of the cuisine is no better than you can get in Cat Ba town. It's not extremely scenic because they're closed during lunchtime, and at dinner time it's just a ton of neon lights and shitty karaoke blaring from Main Strip in Cat Ba town. Another thing to be aware of is Cat Ba town itself is really, really loud. As a New Yorker who's an old lady now, but I have fun in my day. The music is shit, the bartending is worse, and it is so loud all the time. If you're a Vietnamese person, the two hot spots are the club above Napoli Pizza and the Rose Club, and if you are a Westerner, the place to go is the Oasis Bar upstairs, or Cat Bar on the 5th floor of the Cat Ba Pod Hostel. And that's the thing people do. Young people come here and stay in hostels and party at the clubs. But I just, quality-wise, okay. Now let's talk about the basics. How do you get here? On Book Away, they have different companies with different options. Cat Ba Express, Good Morning Cat Ba. They also do buses Cat Ba to Mai Chau, Cat Ba to Ha Giang. So if you're a tourist who wants to see the most famous and scenic places in northern Vietnam in a short amount of time, you don't have to hire a travel agent or anything. You can easily schedule those out and book them up yourself online once you get here where to stay. So there are 5 areas where you can stay on Cat Ba Island. The first 3 are places that are only worth staying for a couple days depending on your situation. Area A on the map is homestays run by villagers displaced by the national park. The natives were moved into a new village when they were kicked off national park land in the late 90s. These homestays are a great place to experience native local culture. That said, there's no Wi-Fi, very few amenities. This is really okay for just a night or 2 while hiking the park. In Area B, we have Viet Hai Village. Viet Hai Village is only accessible by either hiking through the national park or by boat from Ben Bao Harbor, which is the harbor closest to the Cat Ba town. There are homestays only in Viet Hai Village. There's limited Wi-Fi and amenities, and again, it's okay for a night or 2 on either end of a hike through the park. There's not much to see in the village itself. Area C is the floating fishing villages and private islands of Lan Ha Bay. This is mostly homestays with extremely limited amenities. I mean, these places don't have sinks and showers.
But there are also some super luxury, isolated private island resorts here. Whether you stay in a homestay or a luxury resort, there is no Wi-Fi, and obviously there's no going out. You can't leave where you are except for in a boat. All transport has to be arranged well in advance and is quite expensive. Area D is the area 95% of people stay in. This is the Cat Ba town tourist area. There's a wide range of hotels, hostels, Airbnbs. Wi-Fi is absolutely everywhere, and amenities vary depending on how much you pay. Area E is sort of the rub. This is the Cat Ba town local area. Again, there's a range of hotels and homestays. Wi-Fi is generally available, however, amenities can be limited. A motorbike is required to access the beaches, the restaurants, any tour you go on, etc. Grab doesn't work on Cat Ba, and despite this area looking very close to the Cat Ba town tourist area on the map, it's actually at least 40 minutes on a bicycle, not to mention physically grueling because Cat Ba is mountainous. So if you stay there and you are not fully competent with a motorcycle, you will have serious problems. Also, needless to say, you can hardly go out for drinks in the evening if you have to drive your motorbike 30 minutes home in the dark.
If you're a luxury person, there are resorts here that go for $150 to $200 a night. It's entirely unnecessary. You can stay in a gorgeous room in a beautiful hotel with a pool and really solid free breakfast during high season for less than $70 a night. I've stayed in a lot of hotels on Cat Ba Island, and in my opinion, my favorite three, just my personal preferences, are the Hung Long Harbor Hotel, because it's still on the main drag, but it's just a little removed, and has great views. I also love the Draco, and Cat Ba Paradise, which is not only a nice hotel, but also has the best Western-style restaurant downstairs. In terms of places to hang and drink and eat, not purely Vietnamese cuisine, Casa Bonita is pseudo-French cuisine owned by a Dutch guy with a Spanish name. Pretty good Western food, lots of vegetarian options, really nice cocktails. I love Oasis Bar 2. Not the Oasis Bar, but Oasis Bar 2. The guy who owns the Oasis bungalows over there, Tony, is just a really nice person. For super budget hotel and meal options, Cat Ba Pod Hostel is good. They're not the cleanest, in my opinion, but what I do like about them is that they have capsules, so wooden walls, not curtains, which I much prefer. And also they have double wide capsules, which are good for couples on a budget, or just me and my luggage, because I like to spread out. Another place that is not a hostel, you get your own room, but it's a very budget room in a very family hotel. Mine too? I don't know. This family is awesome. You can get a room with a balcony overlooking the harbor for really cheap, especially in the off season. It's only like $10 a night. The owner speaks English pretty well and is pretty cool, and his wife makes amazing Thai food, which I love because in Vietnam, more often than not, when you order pad Thai, you just get the noodles and vegetables that would otherwise be used in pho, fried up and doused in some fish sauce and peanuts. So to actually get really good shrimp pad Thai and strong, cheap G&T, love them. In terms of floating homestays, I stayed at the Zin floating home. The family is wonderful, lovely people, but there is no Wi-Fi. That is a 100% fabrication misrepresentation. And any floating homestay claiming they have Wi-Fi, it's a lie. Know that before you go. For homestays in Viet Hai village, where I am now, is the Lan family homestay. As I said, they've been here over 100 years. Great service, great food, nice room, hot water, great pressure, excellent Wi-Fi, just no complaints at all. I love it here.
The last just little practical things that I have to mention because they're kind of really important is the money situation here. Cash Ba is a cash ba. Cash ba, that's a good portmanteau. Cat Ba is a cash economy. Even at the fanciest hotel, they'll typically tell you that their credit card machine isn't working. Can you let them, gosh? Which is annoying for Westerners, particularly MasterCard wielding Westerners like myself, for whom ATMs don't work all the time. On Cat Ba, there is one ATM, an Agribank ATM, that either doesn't work for MasterCards or doesn't work for American cards. I am not sure which. But when I need cash on Cat Ba, I have to pay a 10% fee at the jewelry store to get cash. So come with
cash. The second thing, which kind of makes no sense to me because they would make so much money if they just used it, is unlike in Hanoi or a lot of the bigger cities, there is no Grab app on Cat Ba Island. It's old school. If you need to go somewhere, you have to wander down to the two corners in the middle of Cat Ba Town's main strip, where all the Xiom guys are sitting on their bikes smoking, and haggle with them for wherever you want to go.
Yeah, I don't get it.
It's really easy to rent a motorbike here, and they're super cheap. You can easily get one for $6 or $7 a day, and the roads aren't bad either. So yeah, that's it. I think that's absolutely everything about Cat Ba. If you have visited Cat Ba and there's a place that you loved or an activity you adored that I have not mentioned, by all means put it in the comments below. And I hope if you were considering visiting Cat Ba that this video was helpful for you.
If you're interested in my travels, you can follow me on Instagram, Genevieve_Fields. You can check out my blog, which is a lot more photo heavy than what I can do on Instagram or YouTube. That is GenevieveFields.com. And thanks so much for watching. Last but not least, have a fantastic week, and I'll see you next time.